Oh, no, never mind. Never mind.
Oh. Sounded like it was coming from the
I mean, Major.
Mr. Mary Jane. Except, it's nice when she has it.
We'll let the record show it's about 4 minutes after 6. I'll call to order the regular scheduled Durant City Council meeting of October the 9th, 2018. And if you're able to stand, I'm going to ask that we stand for our invocation led by our good friend James Dalton. And for the flag salute, I'd like to ask Chief Joins if he'd lead us in the flag salute. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you can be seated, please. You too. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Here.
Councilmember Groby.
Here.
Councilmember Dills.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Here.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Here, for the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum this evening. Our first order of business this evening is item number 1. We have an A and B under presentations. Our first order of business is, as we do quarterly, is to recognize employees and their service to the city and the citizens of Durant, and we're doing that for the third quarter of 2018, and then we'll have also item 1B, a proclamation to present. So I'd like to invite Vice Mayor and council members to the floor and the city manager, and we are going to recognize 100 years of combined service of our employees this evening, which is quite remarkable, I think. So if my colleagues will join me, we'll begin the presentations. We got too much room up here. Podium. Okay. As I mentioned, we have 100 years of combined service to recognize this evening. I think we have 3 at 10 years, 1 at 20 years, and 2 at 25 years. Thinking on those guys, we may have violated the child labor law, maybe. But anyway, we're proud and proud of these folks that serve the city and the citizens of Durant, and here we go. For 10 years in our police department, our first recipient of a 10-year service award, and they'll receive a $100 check, a lapel pin, and a certificate, and that's Brandon Corbaugh. Is Brandon here? Brandon, front and center. And family members, we'd like to have you come up too, because we're going to get some pictures here, I think, too. Brandon. Yes, sir. Congratulations to you. Hey, who's this?
This is Braxton.
Braxton. Hi, Braxton. Hi, young lady. Hi, young man. How are you? Come right around here, my daddy. Oh, he's on it. With the camera. You'll be all right. Thanks. Congratulations, Brandon. Yeah, he bumped down. He's a cowboy. Our next one is with our fire department in 10 years, and that's Nathan Hart. Nathan, are you here? Nathan couldn't make it. I hope he's not fighting a fire. But also, Chief, if you'll come up and receive his check and pin and certificate. And I know Chief Jones will be sure he gets that. Everything but the check. And in our public works, with our water and sewer line maintenance, 10 years of service. Again, a check for $100 and a pin and a certificate. We have Elliot Downs. Is Elliot here? There he is. Saw him earlier. Come on up. Congratulations, Elliot. You got any family members up there? Come here and get a picture with you. Congratulations, man. Now we move to a 20-year recipient at our Durant Multisports Complex. The 20-year service will receive a check for $200, a plaque, and a lapel pin and a certificate. And I don't know if he goes by Ronald, but I think he goes by J.R. Williamson. You hear J.R.? Congratulations, sir. Appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations. Thanks. Then we move to 25 years of service, which is pretty incredible. The 25 years service receives a check for $250, a plaque, and a lapel pin, also a certificate. And the first recipient, Wade Boyd. Wade, come on up. Bring the family with you. Oh, my. Yeah. Congratulations, young man. Yes, sir. Hi, girls. Come on over here. Hey, got the crew here tonight. How are you? Good to see you. Hey, young man, how are you? I didn't make this connection. Whoops. All right. Great looking family, Wade. We have one more, and it's a 25-year also in our fire department. Again, a check for $250, the plaque, lapel pin, and a certificate. And there's really a lot I could say about this guy, besides being so valuable to not only our fire department, but to many of us as a friend. Steve Kelso.
Certainly do appreciate you guys very much. Really, really. Hey, Wade, I won the race, by the way. Yeah, 25 years ago, we tried out in here for our tryout fire department. And then we played basketball in here for physical agility. Y'all thought you'd get out, and I wouldn't make a little speech. But I'm gonna say, I thank y'all very much for 25 years of service. I've been able to raise 2 kids, and I can't tell you how many friends I've made working for you guys here in the city. And I'll tell you, the people that have built this city up and care about it are still here standing today. Paul Bonds, you and a few others that care about our town and push to make it grow. My heart goes out to you. Thank you very much. You too. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Just good people.
Get one with the cheek here. Good.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
This is the kind of folks that work for the city.
Good.
Paul, you want to add anything to that? At one time, folks, this was a auditorium, a gym. Paul will remember. I probably didn't say that right. But
I was going to say, I think I have almost 100 years myself. Yeah, this was an old auditorium and a gymnasium, and yeah, the fire department used it for their training. But I would just say, Steve, we appreciate you and other firefighters, and it was a privilege for me to work with the fire department, police department, all the city employees, public works, great guys, great gals, and it was a real privilege for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. Our next presentation is a proclamation. We're proclaiming this month Substance Abuse Awareness Month in Bryan County. And I want to invite, I hope I get this right, J.C. Anderson. Is she here? He or she? Come on up. And also Tracy Deck Owen. Tracy is the prevention coordinator for the Bryan County at Wichita Mountains Prevention Network, which serves Bryan, Marshall, Carter, Stevens, Johnston, Love, and Caddo counties. And J.C. is the RPC director for Region 10 of the Wichita Mountains Prevention Network. And let me present this proclamation, and then you guys may want to say a couple of words about what you do and what this is all about for us, okay? Okay, hang on. It's kind of a long proclamation, so bear with us, because you know historically I like to share what the proclamation is about. A proclamation, National Substance Abuse Awareness Month for October of 2018. Substance use and mental health problems affect all communities nationwide. According to the 2016 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, an estimated 28.6 million Americans ages 12 or older are current illicit drug users. Nearly 7.2 million young people report drinking alcohol in the past month. Additionally, in 2016, 11.5 million Americans misused pain relievers, and for more than half of them, the last pain reliever they misused came from a friend or relative. With commitment and support, these and other behavioral health issues can be prevented. The focus of National Substance Abuse Prevention Awareness Month this October is to prevent substance use and promote mental health. This year's National Substance Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, taking part in prevention-related activities and conversations help raise awareness of behavioral health issues and changes lives. That's a message we need to spread far and wide. An estimated 15.1 million people ages 12 and older in America are classified with an alcohol use disorder. The impact of substance use disorders is apparent in our local community. We have the power to change these numbers and, more importantly, change lives. That's why the Wichita Mountain Prevention Network and community partners are working together to effect change locally. Through National Substance Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, people become more aware and able to recognize the signs of mental health and substance use disorders. Equally important, community members of all walks of life learn what they can do to create a healthier tomorrow by helping to prevent these problems. Being a shoulder for someone to lean on, leading someone to get help for a behavioral health issue before it worsens, setting an example by staying substance-free, and other actions like this all play a role in keeping the people around us and ourselves healthy and safe. We and others across the United States need to recognize the seriousness of behavioral health issues in our communities, the power of prevention, and the tireless efforts of those working to make a difference. The small daily actions done by individuals, combined with the actions of families, communities, and coalitions, come together to make up the larger, bold movement of prevention. For the above reasons, I am asking the citizens of Durant to join me in observing National Substance Abuse Prevention Awareness Month 2018 this October. Now therefore, I, Jerry L. Tomlinson, Mayor of the City of Durant, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as National Substance Abuse Awareness Month in Durant, and I call upon our community to observe this month with a compelling program and memorial balloon release event that supports hope and empowerment to change lives and statistical outcomes. I want to present this proclamation to these young ladies and let them share just a little bit about what they really do. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm Tracy Owen. I am the Bryan County Coordinator for Substance Abuse Prevention, mainly focusing on opioids for 12 to 25-year-olds. We are thrilled to be here tonight, and we are exceptionally thrilled to be able to tell you really quickly that we are having our first annual Memorial Vigil on October 29th. It's a Monday evening at Southeastern on the big lawn in front of Morrison Hall, and we would love to see as many of our community come out as possible. We're going to do a balloon release. There have been quite a few lives lost in Bryan County over the last few years from opioid abuse and prescription medications. And so this is our way of helping to bring awareness to that. We need your support. We need you to spread the word. We'll have flyers out on the table. Also information about our local task force that my boss, JC here, who oversees quite a few counties, so I appreciate her coming tonight. Started about 1.5 years ago here, and it is just flourishing. We have tons of support. And so the task force basically is putting this on with WMPN, and so we're just really excited to spread the word about that. And thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you all for what you do. God bless. Don't forget, October 29th. What time? 5:30 to 7:30 at Southeastern in front of Morrison Hall out on the big lawn. A big balloon release and all that good stuff. Sure. Mike, they'd like a picture, please. Oh, you're going to take the picture. Got it? Thank you all. Again, we thank our employees. What a great group. If you're following along on the agenda, we'll pick up with item number 2 on our agenda under consent items. They are to allow, to streamline our meeting, to help streamline our meeting and allow the focus to be on items requiring more strategic thought. This groups the routine, procedural, non-controversial items together. They're voted on in a single motion. However, any council member may request further information on any specific item and remove it from the consent item for separate or individual attention and separate vote. We have items 2A through H. Are there any to be removed for consideration under item number 3?
I'd like to remove item H, please.
Councilmember Gruey has requested item H. Are there any others? If not, consider a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve consent items. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Councilmember Dills. Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Takes us to item number 3, and that will be 3H. 3H is to consider contract agreement to purchase Taser X2 CEW conductive electrical weapon in the amount of $68,700. And we have Chief Hauser and Councilman Gruby, you had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, while I definitely agree that you need the tasers, I have no disapproval of that. My question is, are there not some type of federal grants or state grants that we could get to purchase these, Chief?
Well, I did check into that. I didn't find any. There was grants out there for body cameras and things like that. I didn't locate any for the tasers. I did look.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions or discussion regarding 3H?
Yeah, Chad wants to volunteer.
No, well, Destry was just saying how much he wanted to
Chad
try it
wants to
out.
volunteer Destry.
Yes, yeah, I mean, he said he really wanted to check it out, make sure they work properly.
Just let me know when you're ready. I'll have him there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. If there are no further questions, do we have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second for 3H to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Takes us to item number 4 under administration. Item 4A is to consider a recommendation of the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, OMAG, to deny tort claim. Is that, Cindy, are you going to go over that with us?
I can speak to it. It was regarding a pothole, and the pothole was reported and it was repaired promptly. And so the OMAG had recommended denial of the claim because the city did repair it once they became aware of it in a timely manner.
Okay, any questions for Cindy from council members? If not, do we have a motion?
Just for clarification, so this took place after the potholes
No,
repaired?
prior to, but we weren't aware of it, as I understand it.
That is correct.
It was repaired after it was reported.
The responsibility is on the city to repair those potholes as soon as they are made aware of them.
Move we follow the recommendation of the OMAG to deny.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4B is to consider, excuse me, consider approval of a request to declare number 701 Kodiak dump truck as surplus property. And James Young is here in lieu of Marty Cook. James?
Mayor, council, city manager. This is a 1992 Kodiak 5500 dump truck. It's got 237,443 miles. It's had limited use on it. It just sits and hasn't been used in at least a year and a half. I think it's been sitting out the sports complex. Marty Pope had several calls about it and interest in it. So what he thought is going to declare it surplus and then go out for a 21-day bid for it and sell the truck, and then maybe take the money and purchase a new mower that they're in real need of. You have any questions?
I guess that would be like a sealed bid thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I think is it 21 days? Yeah. Mhm.
Any questions for James regarding the request? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4C is consideration to purchase a new 2019 Ford F-550 bucket truck from VersaLift Southwest LLC through Texas Government Purchasing Cooperative by Board for the street department in the amount of $105,019. James, you're up again.
Yeah, okay, I'm still here. Our current bucket truck is about 18 years old. Spent a lot of money and time repairing, and it stayed down last year. Hydraulics, the truck itself, oil leaks, I could name on and on. For at least 2 weeks there, Jerry kept bringing me more parts and parts. And so last year, or this year at the budget, we budgeted the money to replace it, and I got online and looked at several different trucks, called a couple. This we already own, a VersaLift. We're already dealing with this company with maintenance and everything on the other one, parts, stuff like that. So I recommend that we go back with the same style truck. This one's going to be a little bigger. Going to have four-wheel drive on it. It's going to be a little bit different, so we can get out during ice and snow and stuff like that if we do need to. It's not only used for the lights, it's also used for the banners that are downtown, trees. I mean, it's pretty much used at least once or twice a week, depending on what the thing is. The traffic lights, the bulbs in parking lots that we own, different things like that. So, any questions?
Questions for James? I may have one. Will we be able to, will the old truck maybe serve as a backup, or are you going to look at?
I've talked with Jerry that possibly doing that, putting it in the fleet with the garage, and other departments can use it, Parks Department if they need to, and we can also use it as a backup if something happens. And seems like we never have enough when we need it. Last year, I thought we was going to have to rent one a time or two, and we squeaked by and didn't have any incidents when we were down. So,
Any other questions for James?
Just to clarify, this isn't required to go out for bid because it's being purchased through the buy board. Is that correct?
This, what do they call it, like the state contract?
The
kind
buy,
this is a buy board. All the
Yeah.
all the bidding and everything has already
Already
been
done.
done for us. So they've already got it, went out and got the best deal they could get.
okay, I just wanted to clarify on that.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
This is actually my first thing to buy through a buy board. I usually have gone with state contract, but we found this, so it seemed like a pretty good deal.
Have a motion? And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Our next order of business is item 4D, to consider draft of ordinance number 1867, a new chapter in Durant's Code on medical marijuana. And we had some discussion, I believe, in a meeting or so ago, and I think Matt's been working quite a bit, researching, et cetera, et cetera. So, Matt, is this a new ordinance, or is it an ordinance that we've taken and?
No, this would be a new chapter
Okay.
in our code.
Floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. So I've attempted to wrestle the crocodile, and after conversations, unfortunately, after the agenda was posted, got some great feedback. I had some great conversations with city staff, businesses, and I would like to leave this as a draft to fine tune. We can discuss whatever and however. I'm here for that, but I do think that we need some more time.
I would support, Mr. Mayor and Council, that Matt maybe hold some sort of kind of a town hall meeting, in which folks, everybody from the dispensaries to the growers to people that are just have questions in general can attend and have some input. We did have this on the last council agenda as an information only. Unfortunately, like I said, we haven't had a whole lot of response until we actually put it on the agenda. Then we got a ton of response. And as you can see on our public comment section, we have about 6 or 7 people that want to discuss it as well. I think maybe it might be in our best interest to have some sort of forum. So when we get there, when Matt brings it back, it'll have a lot more answers to several of these questions.
I think that's wise recommendation. I think the only question I would have is, are we in a time crunch here or time constraint? Or
I mean, the short answer is probably yes. For purposes of licensing our retailers and things like that, we probably are in a bit of a time crunch, but it's really up to the council when they choose to do it. This is not a unique situation for the city. There's been some, it's such a major undertaking. There's, even at the state level, from the Department of Health on down, there's been, some growing pains as far as to how to implement what was, I believe, State Question 788. So I think this is the right approach to, probably on a relatively short timeline, get some public input and make sure that this is, there's certainly opportunities to amend once it goes into place, but probably the more we can, get right at the front end, the better. But I think this is the right approach, and Matt's done a really good job of researching this and putting it down on paper. So I think that's the right approach.
I know we do have a special meeting on October 23rd, I believe, too, so maybe by then, if the city attorney thinks it might warrant it.
and if there are no objections, we'll just take no action this evening, which would allow Matt and his department to either meet or have that public meeting. And let's see, this is the 9th. And that wouldn't require a public notice if he can put together a meeting, unless we were going to participate. But so that could happen. But you think you could do that
in the next
prior
2
to the
weeks?
23rd?
Yes.
Okay. If there are no objections, then we will take no action on item 4D. Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
They're still going to be up, I think. But, okay. Which takes us to item 4E, and that's to consider approval of ordinance 1866, also a new chapter, Endurance Code on Beverage Gardens, and to amend chapter with associated definitions. Matt.
Yes, so this chapter I'm proposing tonight, it is ready for your consideration, in my opinion, and utilized the beverage garden ordinance that the city of Ada adopted a few years back in 2015, and the idea that alcoholic beverages can be served and consumed in conjunction with a special event. So on the ordinance in the packet, it was without the section numbers, so I propose that it be part of our Chapter 111, Alcoholic Beverages and Tobacco, and that it be Section 111.01, and that's where beverage garden begins, and then each chunk separated by the spacing be .011, 012, all the way to 017, just for the reference. So I have considered where it will be in our city code. And also, if we could strike where it says non-intoxicating and/or intoxicating beverages, and change that to alcoholic beverages. There are a few references to that, just in updating the language, the phrasing of those beverages. So basically putting stipulations so that there is some city oversight, but providing the opportunity for someone to have an event sectioned off that we would be able to verify doesn't create an ordinance, doesn't have an adverse impact, but providing the opportunity for someone to have a beverage garden in conjunction with a special event.
It's time for questions. I only have one question, and I thought it was very well written, and you did a great job. Section 2, paragraph 2, under continuing compliance, talking about the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It seems really prohibitive to have a 4-foot non-metal fence around wherever you're going to serve. And the only reason I was thinking of this after Jerry and I talked about it earlier, they're talking about having a downtown event. We're going to have different brewers. How are we going to have a fence are we going to do it? I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to do a 4-foot fence that's solid all the way down versus having like just pennants strung up so you know where this is an area you can consume and this is an area where you cannot. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to figure out how all
It
these different
does.
places are going to have a 4-foot fence that holds trash, and I don't know, just kind of seems prohibitive.
Hmm.
Am I crazy?
No.
And that detail almost being too prohibitive, 4 feet,
Well, I mean,
not less than 4 feet.
not necessarily like, I'm just saying that if you put a pennant fence or some kind of barricade,
Mhm.
I'm just thinking a solid fence that's 4 feet high may be hard to find, number one. You're going to have a lot of people trying to find it, to build it around their little area. It just seems like that would be hard to do. I don't know. I mean,
I think
may be
along with
crazy.
what the vice mayor's saying, that he's probably as familiar with as anybody, but as any of us are at any of these events, or whether here or somewhere else, I agree with the vice mayor. It's kind of prohibitive to find a ground 4 foot high kind of solid fence, but I think what we're familiar with is the use of the pennant, kind of not barricade, but something that defines a perimeter, if you will, versus a full-fledged 4-foot fence. Kinda
And
thing.
we're having like this downtown event, and I'm just, how are you going to block off this entire area with a 4-foot fence around? I don't know where it's at, but I mean, it's probably a pretty big area to have a fence all the way around. I don't know. I just think that might be an issue that comes up.
Okay. I mean, here and now, as far as I understand it, we could alter some of the detail. Barricade, non-metallic fence or barricade, and maybe the word appropriate being placed in front of barricade, and that being at the discretion of the permit review team. An appropriate barricade.
mean,
And
you
then
can almost
maybe,
just
City attorney, can you
maybe
help there a
omitting
little
the
bit,
rest
Andy?
of that sentence.
I mean, almost, if you just put the boundaries of the designated area shall be clearly marked, is almost enough. I mean, I would think, but they may put tape on the ground. I don't know.
I think one of the considerations would be both clearly marked and something over which, I mean, one of the conditions is that there be someone that IDs people that are getting into the garden. You need to have a barrier that's not easily crossed
Yeah.
or stepped over. And I think that was probably the point of a 4-foot barrier versus a 30-inch barrier of a pennant type. But
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I assume at any event you're going to have some kind of wristband marking that you're 21 to be able to consume anyway.
and maybe that's the answer versus,
There
Because
are
anybody
significant
can
barrier.
jump anything.
Yeah, and there are cities now that have gone to just doing away with the barricades and going straight to the wristband. You have to go get ID'd and then that way you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it, so.
I know with the only thing I would say, even if we did the wristband, I think with the Able Commission, wherever you're going to consume has to be
Yeah.
marked out.
Delineated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it has to be barricaded, but I think it has to be, you cannot go on this side of this line, basically,
Yeah.
just to be within Able. But anyway, I mean, I think no matter what, we should require that they have wristbands for over 21. I mean, because anybody can jump a fence.
It seems like, Chad, that the pennants would work and then the wristbands would be sufficient.
I mean, I think the pennants are more for just to comply with Able laws. It's kind of what I would envision it, because, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a 4-foot fence or
Right.
somebody can figure out a way to get over it. If that's the only thing keeping me from having a beer, I'm going to figure out a way over it. So I would think that the pennants would be just for the Able, and then you would have to have somebody IDing for a wristband.
Right.
But I don't know how you write that
For-
in here, but
I don't think there are any, I don't think there are any Hitchcock-proof barriers out there.
There are none. None.
One more suggestion that I saw, Matt, I think this is very well done, and on that the next paragraph, number 3, on the timing, and I probably should have gotten with you earlier on this, 11 p.m. to, basically 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. My only thought on that is, and we may not have that many around here, but on a lot of the 5K, 10K type races,
Good point.
Some of them are, have beer at the end of them, things like that. Unless you're really, really slow, you finish before 11 o'clock a.m. So Chad may finish after
Again, that's
11
me.
a.m., but it may be something that we want to back up. And I don't know, maybe that's the only type of event that would be drinking beer before 11, but.
Well, I thought about, tailgate, kickoff may be at 11, so you may be out there at 9 or 10. What is do we have quiet hours in town? Is it 2 to 6? I know that's
I'm not
the
aware.
alcohol laws, is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. I'm not saying you want to do that, but Chief Hauser may know.
Complaint driven.
Yeah. I mean, it may be a midnight to 8 a.m. kind of thing.
Should I revisit and maybe look at the, Tailgate Alley and their
I mean,
their
I know for
practices,
sure they're
for
going to have,
example?
yeah, I know for sure they're going to have an 11 o'clock kickoff at some point, and people will be out there at 9 a.m.
Okay. Well, I think just as long as delineation is mentioned in that first paragraph, I think that detail is covered, clearly marked with appropriate delineation, and then omit the rest of the sentence. But providing language for the other details, should I keep working on that?
Could I just interject? If we're going to meet on the 23rd, maybe Matt could take these ideas and come back with ordinance 1866 at that time.
I agree. I lost track of all the changes already. Trying to write them down.
Yeah. Matt, would that be acceptable
Sure,
to you?
whatever you all like. I'm here to serve.
0 for 2.
Sorry.
We'll just make you work a little longer on it. No. If there are no objections, then, but are there any other comments or ideas or discussion?
That was really the only one that I
Okay.
saw.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll take no action then. Also on item 4E, ordinance 1866, which takes us to item 4F. Consider approval of a conditional economic development agreement between the City of Durant, the Durant Industrial Authority, Tubachex U.S. Holding, Inc., and Tubachex Durant, Inc., providing for the disposition of certain real property located generally at Country Club Road and State Highway 78, and providing for the development of a steel tubing manufacturing facility on said real property, and authorizing the Durant Industrial Authority's actions implementing the provisions of such agreement. We have Mr. Paul Bunce, the interim full-time Durant Industrial Authority Director. Paul has been working diligently with the Tubachex people for several months. The DIA met as recently as today, and but I'll let Paul share and bring council members up to date.
Okay, Project Hickory, Tubachex Durant does want to come to Durant. They've actually signed the agreement already. In this agreement, they have committed to spend between $40 and $62 million. They have committed to employing 140 persons that pay an average wage of $55,000 a year. The Industrial Authority would provide them a 40-acre tract, as you stated, in the vicinity of 78 and 70. The Industrial Authority met this afternoon and approved this contract unanimously and recommends approval to the City Council. There is a TIF process that is authorized. This is not a commitment to a TIF. This is a commitment to a TIF process, and that means a TIF committee. Many of the members, all but a few of the at-large members, have already been appointed. We'll meet and make a recommendation to the City Council at a later date. And at that point, the city council can choose to approve the TIF or reject the TIF. And there are some options in here. If the TIF is not approved, they can proceed without the TIF and so forth. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Paul? Again, Paul has met with these folks numerous times. Industrial Authority members and Chairman Mr. Martin Tucker has met, and they've done a lot of due diligence. If there are no questions, are we ready for a motion?
Paul, I'd like to ask one question.
Okay.
Are they going to come relocate or locate here with or without the TIF? Is that my understanding?
They have that option. They have an option of locating here without TIF, but they're not committed to. This is a conditional development agreement. So if the TIF does not go through, they have the option of pulling the plug on the project and simply deeding the property back to the authority.
And I was trying to understand how much the TIF would be.
We're estimating around $4 million, a $10 million, or 10-year TIF, about $4 million is what we're projecting.
Okay, and my understanding is an $800,000 piece of property.
Yes, that's not an appraisal, but using, I think, a good price for the property. What we're estimating is about $20,000 per acre, so yes, $800,000.
And then we would probably get a grant to put the sewage and water in, or?
The water will be there. The sewer, we would have to construct a line back to the west, I think, to not very far, to 78 to connect there, where there's actually a line being extended to there to serve steel fab. And also in this TIF, we want to, it's really not necessarily part of this project, but it relates to this project. I mean, it does affect this project. The 12-inch water line that's being constructed to steel fab, when the line is constructed, the part that's east of 78, that actually becomes Rural Water 5 water line. So we would put in the CDBG application the construction of a meter vault and 12-inch meter at that location, so the water would be metered past that point. Right now it's just for fire flow, but eventually it would be for water flow for Rural Water 5, where they purchase from the city.
And this is in the Calera School District?
It's in the Calera School District.
Okay. The only problem I have, Paula, the only question, is my understanding these TIFs were for blighted areas. And I can't think of a more blighted area right now than all these empty buildings.
I don't think TIF is necessarily for blighted building. It's for economic development.
And if I might, and Paul mentioned it briefly, Councilmember Groby, that we'll be meeting later to consider the TIF agreement.
Right. This does not commit you to approving a TIF.
This is
only
the economic
the
development
TIF
agreement.
process.
So we're voting today to give them the land and...
Well, the Industrial Authority actually has the land.
Right.
You're just approving the overall process, and I guess you are blessing the Industrial Authority's donation of the land. I agree with that.
Any other questions for Paul? If not, are we at a time to consider a motion for the conditional economic development agreement?
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby,
Nay.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Paul, thank you. And thank the Durham Industrial Authority for their due diligence and time on this. Item 4G, consider approval of partnership with the Three Valley Museum and application for Durant to be a site for the Wall That Heals, a traveling Vietnam War memorial, and use of the multi-sports complex for the display if selected for the 2019 tour or take any other appropriate action. And Greg is going to visit with us, and Miss Nancy Ferris, our curator at Three Valley. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Ms. Ferris approached the city for location to assist bringing the Vietnam Memorial Wall to Durant. It's a great honor and privilege if we will be selected to be able to participate in the education process and recognition of those members that gave their lives for the benefit of our country. And so we would be honored to be able to participate. And I know that Ms. Ferris probably has a better presentation related to that, but staff would fully recommend and support participating in this process and program.
Thank you, Greg. Nancy?
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you all for allowing me to be part of the agenda this afternoon or this evening. And I want to thank Greg Phillips for being here. He is the president of the Durant Historical Society, so he is here also to support this possible amazing exhibit that we might get selected for here in Durant. I wanted to let you all know that I filed application with the Vietnam Memorial Fund. It is a nonprofit entity that supervises the Vietnam Memorial Wall, that is a traveling wall that is taken all over our country. If we are chosen, there are several criteria that we must meet in order to get that wall here, but if chosen, it would be here in the fall of 2019. And I think it just has an amazing possibilities for our town. For those of you who lived through the Vietnam War, like I did, you are aware that when those veterans came back, a lot of them were not treated with the dignity and respect that they should have been. And if you've ever been to the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C., you know that it has a very special feeling when you walk in front of that. This wall is 3/4 the size of the original wall. It is built of synthetic granite, and it has, it's 375 feet long and stands 7.5 feet tall at its crest. So it is it's quite an impressive exhibit. It is called the Wall That Heals, and the reason for that is that so many Vietnam veterans feel a special connection when they are near it. Those of us who had family who lost their lives in that conflict feel the same way too. It would be a great way for us to pay tribute to all the veterans who in our area in southeastern Oklahoma and North Texas, and to let them know how much that we appreciate them, to know that we are giving them the gratitude that they deserve finally. I hope to bring students in from 100 to 150 mile radius, as well as others, to see this wall. There's a curriculum that we can give to the schools that they can teach about the Vietnam War before they bring the kids, so that would be an amazing thing. And it would be here for 4 days and 4 nights, open 24 hours a day, guarded, protected by possibly former veterans or others in the community who are selected for that process. We hope that it will educate and give us all a chance to remember those who lost their lives. There's a special exhibit of people within the counties, our county and the counties that are closest to us, that show their pictures, and kind of makes it a little more personal for us. It's not just a wall of names. They come in an 18-wheeler, and that is turned into a museum. So that's where all of our most personal photographs of local veterans are in that museum. This selection process, even though we meet the criteria, everything that they are asking for, there's still a selection process, and there's no guarantee that we will get this. But I've come to you today to ask for your partnership in this, And the sites that we have started looking at are one of the best ones so far is out at the sports complex. The parking, the lighting, the security, the green space, everything kind of fits their criteria. They make the final selection on where it will actually go. I just send them possibilities. You know, only got to send 3 possibilities. So right now, that's the one that they're looking at. So I would ask you to consider that, consider partnering with us on this, and to also give your blessing to us for this project. I have asked Byron to have a video for us so I can kind of give you an idea of what this might mean to our town.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund many years ago created a replica of the wall that travels to communities around the country that we call the Wall That Heals. This mobile replica really is about taking the names home to communities large and small to allow people to have that same kind of healing experience, to come and show their respect, to remember those 58,000 whose names are on the wall, as well as the 2.7 million Vietnam veterans who served who returned home. It's a chance to look back and pay their respects to those who answered the call of service to their country, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
To be able to take this around to communities that may not even know anything about the wall or the war, especially for the young kids to come out and see these things and get educated on it. People need to know what these 58,000 plus gave their lives for. Whether they want to hear about it or not, they need to know.
The experience at the Wall That Heals is as you go from one end in toward the center, the wall actually rises up above you so that it's taller than you are, which is one of the key design aspects of the wall in Washington. As you go down one of the walkways, the wall actually rises above you. And I think that has a psychological impact where you actually understand that there is something important here. It is so large that it creates an emotion of power, and you understand you're supposed to stop, you're supposed to think about it. And in this case, you can read the names, you can see your reflection in the wall, and you have to remember why those names are inscribed. These are people who sacrificed their lives for our country.
I get this feeling in my stomach, the pride that you see. When we went into San Dimas, the kids were all along the streets with their American flags. That always chokes me up because I know what it is to serve this country. And we as Americans sometimes don't understand the cost of war. Hate the war all you want, but don't hate the warrior.
I met a couple of guys here this morning, and one guy, I walked up to him and he started crying already. Man, it makes me feel good. Not that he's crying, but that he's here to have bonding with someone and being able to find his buddy on the wall. It means so much.
Thank you, Byron. Well, as you can see, this is quite an emotional exhibit, and I just think it would be an amazing, amazing tribute to our veteran community that stretches. We have the Ardmore Veterans Center, Sulphur not that far away, Bonham not far away, and all of those in between. So I thank you for listening to me, and hope that you will see that this would be a wonderful thing for our city.
Comments, questions of Ms. Ferris or Greg? I would comment that, has anyone been to the memorial wall in D.C.? I can tell you that my brother and I answered that call, and in the Vietnam era, and Ms. Ferris referenced that. was not a good time for veterans particularly. And this is truly a healing process. And I fully support this effort.
Thank you.
And would ask that our council members support this effort. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby,
It's a wonderful idea. Aye.
Councilmember Dills,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock,
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Greg.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you. so
Nancy, and we'll do our part.
much. Thanks.
Takes us to 4H, and that is to consider approval of contract for annual and special contracts with Caliber Public Safety to update Bryan County's 911 addressing. We'll have two items to consider under that? Yes. A
Yes, sir.
contract and then a special contract. So, Matt?
Yeah, sorry for that wonky language. So it is two contracts, and one annual and one special contract. So first, the first attachment is the contract that's been renewed annually with Caliber, who provides some auxiliary third-party support for our 911 coordinator and mapping technician, Aaron Walkup, in my office. That a backlog always rises up, and Aaron doesn't have time to update all the maps with all the new address requests. We receive a lot of new address requests because Durant is booming. So the first number, H1, is for the annual contract for $30,000. They'll be visiting they would visit 6 times bi-monthly. And number 2 is a new proposal that Caliber sent us because there is such a backlog between new addresses and also correcting addresses that cause confusion when the police dispatch is contacted. Sometimes addresses in the county, a road name may be wrong, that it's a crucial moment, and some of our road names are inconsistent with the digital makeup of the 911 program. So this H2 is considering a one-time payment of $18,500 for collection of 1,000 new addresses or corrected addresses. So that's the second attachment. And Aaron has compiled the 1,000 address backlog between new addresses and those that need to be corrected. So we have the list in hand, and as far as I've seen on our annual totals for that annual contract, $30,000 for the annual contract, and that provides just about 500 addresses. And so this 1,000 could really catch us up and put my office and police dispatch in a much better position for a great value. So I'm here for any questions.
Questions for Matt? If not, are we at a time to consider H1? Consider approval of contract C-2018-61. Motion?
Move to approve H1.
And do we have a second? Sorry. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby,
Aye.
Councilmember Dills,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock,
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item H2, consider approval of special contract for $18,500. Did that have a number? That doesn't have a number, does it?
It does not, I apologize.
Does it have a number that we can reference?
It does not. Is it on the exhibit by chance? I apologize that it's not on the item itself.
We can be specific in our motion with a special contract with Caliber.
The next one.
We'll move to
Yeah.
approve H2, approval of contract for Caliber for a one-time payment of $18,500 for the collection of 1,000 new 911 addresses in Bryan County.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby,
Aye.
Councilmember Dills, Vice Mayor Hitchcock,
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4I,
Thank you.
consider approval of agreement, oh, thank you, Matt. Consider approval of an agreement with Oklahoma Gas and Electric, OG&E, to replace and maintain city-owned light fixtures, option 1. Mr. Holliday.
Yes, hello you all. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate that. Robert Holliday, with Oklahoma Gas and Electric, Community Affairs Manager is my title. I first like to say thank you guys for your sacrifice and your time that you put into the city. I know that you could be doing a lot of other things, so thank you for what you do and what you're going to do in the future. One other thing I want to bring to your attention is basically we've had it's the certain type of light fixture on our poles for years. And that light is something that we're all used to. It's a yellow kind of amber color. And then that's what we've used for, my goodness gracious, I'm not sure how many years. Well, the manufacturer calls us up and said, hey, we are doing away with that light fixture. We're not going to make it anymore. You're not going to be able to get parts for it. And so basically, so what we had to do is come up with what we're going to do. So since everything is moving to the new technology, we have moved to the LEDs. And now there's the pros and cons. The LED light is brighter. It's where people are probably, some's going to be complaining, but some is going to love it. And the nice thing about it is you can shoot it and some of it still works. And so, we don't have to go out.
Robert, you don't have to tell folks.
Well, that's true. I don't want to really advertise that. So basically, and it's going to last a lot longer. We're going to have less, hopefully, we're going to have less travel calls. And then another thing is, let's say that Tim wanted to have this certain roll of lights out at this certain day because of an event. Well, you know what? With this type of technology, we could do that. We could turn those off. And then when the event's done, you give us a call, we turn those lights back on. So technology is just moving right along, fast and furious. So I'm kind of amazed just what can take place with this. And now, I guess the negative side of this, there is going to be a little cost difference. Of course, if you go to a store and you go buy LED lights versus the regular lights, if you can find them, they're going to be quite a bit of cost difference. So you'll see a cost difference within that. So what we have decided to do is instead of changing out several, basically as the light goes out, we'll put the new LED light in. And so that will continue going, and that may take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Who knows? And so that's the plan, and that's where we're headed. So what we are offering you today is 2 options. Option 1 is that we take the responsibilities of the light fixtures, and when they go bad, we'll put the new fixture on, which is what I definitely would recommend. Or option number 2 is you can do it all, take responsibility of it all, and replace it all, and we'll just charge you the KW. So it takes a lot of manpower, as you guys probably know. It takes a lot of people to do that. And so I'm kind of leaving that up to you. I'm sure you probably have other questions that you'd like to ask, and feel free to do that, okay?
And one point, Robert, we only own 47 out of the 1,250 streetlights within our city limits. We only own 47 of them. I believe most of them you see are off of 70
Yes, a
So,
lot of 'em-
he's only talking about tonight, the 47 that the city owns.
Correct.
And as far as the replacement goes, the other ones OG&E owns, they just charge us a service fee every month for that. And when they start going out, they're going to change them out to LEDs.
Correct.
Regardless.
Right.
So these would only be changed out as they start burning out, the 47 that we own.
There was a mention of a cost, an additional cost. I'm remembering like $1.50 or something.
It could be some $1.50, $2. It all depends on different heads, light fixtures, but it's going to be in that ballpark. Could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit less.
That occurs after that one has been installed,
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
Okay. Or the new one, new
Correct.
LED.
Yes.
And my recommendation tonight is option one, and simply because we don't have the manpower or the equipment to go out and maintain those type of streetlights. It would be quite an undertaking for us to be able to go out there and do
Yeah.
that, and that's what I feel like.
I agree, and to kind of physically note those lights, some of them are the lights over the new viaduct.
Correct.
Which are pretty high, and the other ones are on 70 out on
Yes.
Highway 69, on 69, 75.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, and some of them are, which would be to the west of the casino. Those right in there, it hasn't worked. Those are actually city-owned lights as well.
Yeah,
and so that means that those would be corrected.
So the city manager's recommendation, along with Mr. Holliday's, is for, on the option one, is for OG&E, if I'm reading correctly, to replace and maintain the city-owned light fixtures.
Yes.
Move to approve the agreement with option one.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Thank you all, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.
Okay, Robert, thank you, sir.
Thanks again for what you guys do.
Thank you. Councilmember Hawthorne?
Aye.
Councilmember Groby?
Aye.
Councilmember Dills?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock?
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson?
Aye, motion carries. Let's see, we have one public hearing. I think if there are no objections from council members, I'm going to move to item number 6 under information items. We have several department heads here this evening. Do council members have any questions from any of the department heads that are here about their monthly report? And just again, for the audience's sake, department heads provide a monthly report not only to the city manager, but to council members as well. And it's pretty good information. Any council members have any questions? Robbie, I have one question. In your report, you indicated the VA attendance or something was down a little bit. Is there a reason for that?
Oh, yes. The short reason is there's a changing of the guard. The previous people who were coming were strictly volunteers. Paul Conley was one of the leads. He said he's been on his deathbed since about 2013, but I think he recently had a pretty serious health scare.
Okay.
And we had two different factions of people. It was getting to be problematic. And our investment up until this point has just been to provide a room for them to use, computers with their own logins, and a printer. So I had Jeremy Todd, who's a veteran who works at the library, who's the program director, reach out to the state level. So the, and I can never remember their name, but the Oklahoma Department of Veteran Affairs, they actually employ a person who travels around Oklahoma. And there's a gentleman who comes to this area and we had no idea they were coming to this area. So his name is Daryl, and he will start coming next Friday. He'll be here every Friday, but in addition to that, just sitting and meeting with those gentlemen, we had no idea that they meet in Ardmore every Thursday, that they're in Medill one day of the week, that they're in Atoka another day of the week. We had people coming from Kansas, from Texas, which technically they shouldn't have served, but just, you know, you can't have somebody show up and you say no, especially if they are a veteran or a widow of a veteran. So this will not only help us serve people better, we'll be able to help people who come in from different parts of the county or other neighboring counties and say, hey, there's no reason for you to drive to Durant and possibly wait 2 to 3 hours to see somebody when you could go on a Monday to Medill and see Daryl or his partner Chris. And they are actually already had an MOU with the Choctaw Nation. So we actually have, by the time Daryl comes again on Friday, there will be a representative from the state level, a paid employee, who will be in the Durant area twice a week. And our veterans were serving 4 to 5 days a week and 1 Saturday a month. So the 2 ladies with B&B Veteran Service will possibly come in and help just kind of do intake if they choose to do that. But between us and the Choctaw Nation and then just being able to educate people where they can go, I have a feeling it's going to run so much more smoothly. And we have people who are actually employed by the State Department of Veteran Affairs, and that makes me feel better.
Makes me feel better, too. Yeah. And thank you for letting us know that. Any other department reports that anybody would like any info on? I do want to thank, on behalf of the council, you guys for providing those reports. I know it takes some time out of your busy day. And if there are no further reports to be either have questions or presented, you guys can feel free to check out. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item number 5 then, under public hearings. And that is to consider approval of Resolution 2018-27, a conditional use permit, a CUP, request from the owners of 809 West Elm Street to operate and occupy a bed and breakfast. Matt?
The applicants, the Rennies, Mr. and Mrs. Rennie, they request to be able to own and occupy a bed and breakfast at their property 809 West Elm. It was a bed and breakfast under different ownership, 2001 to 2009. So it does have precedent at that specific property. My office received no concerns at Planning Commission. There was a question of parking. And as far as I understand it, they have 3 bedrooms for approximately 6 occupants. And they do have the necessary parking for that. For their site, they have at least 4 off-street parking spaces. Let's see. Mr. Rennie is present, and I'm here for any questions. I think that covers it.
And again, for council and for those in the audience, this falls under the public hearing. We've heard Mr. Matt present the request for a conditional, or to consider a conditional use permit. Do council members have any questions for Matt? I would have only one. Is there a projected, beginning date, opening date?
I'm not aware.
Okay,
I believe
we can ask them.
Have sales tax permit covered.
At this time, we'll open it up for the public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that has a question, concern, or an issue with this request, either whether it's either in favor or in opposition to, you may take the podium and voice that concern. or support? Anyone in the audience? And you need to come forward and state your name and address.
Nancy Ferris, 401 West Main. My interest is in that I'm interested in maybe having a bed and breakfast also. So the question would be the cost of that permit, and if it is a one-time thing, or if it's annual, or if it's depends on how big the location is, or something.
No, there is a standard fee that's escaping my mind in order to present to this body as well as Planning Commission. It would be taken to Planning Commission first and then City Council as a resolution like I've prepared for the Rennies. And that suffices as the permit, the approval of the resolution, which is, I should note, a part of the second exhibit on the item, if I failed to mention that before.
Well, and to answer her question maybe a little bit further, there's an application process. There's a cost to that. And it covers the expenses of?
Right, of the administrative duties of me preparing the resolution, as well as contact to all of the city official bodies,
Property
commission,
owners.
preparing the meeting and having the meeting, the attendance there of the Planning Commission, as well as this meeting. And I have the rezoning. For some reason, the rezoning fee is what we see the most, and so I have that fee of $300 in my head. So that's the fee that's coming to mind. But I can give you my card for us to facilitate that. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Matt, no neighbors complained or anything on this?
No, sir. And letters went out at a 300-foot radius from the property, so it's a fair amount of homes.
Yes, ma'am, and you need to come forward if you can, please, and state your name and your address, please.
Irene Moore. And my address is 722 West Beach. I was wondering approximately how many will be staying there? You know, like 2 families, 3 families, how much room do you have? Is it going to be you?
Up to 6, I believe. No, Mr. Rennie, correct? Yeah, the Rennies are present, both Mr. and Mrs. Rennie.
Okay.
But it was presented at Planning Commission, 3 bedrooms and up to 6 guests.
6? Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else in the audience have any questions, comments? Anyone in the audience? Anyone else in the audience? We'll close the public hearing portion of the consideration of Resolution 2018-27 for a conditional use permit. Are we ready for a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby,
Aye.
Councilmember Dills,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock,
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
We are moving then to item number 7 on our agenda under citizen comments. On non-agenda items, we've been a little considerate of that. Tonight we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 requests to speak, and 1, 2, 3, 4 are regarding the marijuana, medical marijuana initiative. I might just ask folks, unless you specifically want to be heard, if you're still here, that you heard our consideration earlier, and that Mr. Matt is going to be trying to host at least some sort of public hearing or town hall kind of meeting, so that folks, including yourself, can participate and have input, etc.
And we'll announce that on our Facebook page and on our website. So if folks want to stay tuned to that, we'll get with Matt and get a time, and probably at the library would probably be the easiest place to have it at, so.
Okay, and if those folks are still in the audience, Dustin Belvin, Aaron Holton, James Pearson, and Robert Spanhags, if that's sufficient for you guys, then that's in the interest of time, that's what I'd propose that we consider. Anybody take issue with that? Okay, then we'll move on to, we have one other citizen comment request, and it's in regards to the cemetery, and that's Miss Jean Meissner. Is Miss Meissner still here? Yep. And Jean, if you would, go ahead and for the record, state your name and your address. If you would, for the record, state your name and address.
All right, I'm Jean Masoner at 1112 West University Boulevard. And my concern has been the condition of the cemetery. Due to the large amount of rain and the contractor not being able to keep up out there, the cemetery is in a deplorable condition. Weeds and grass have gotten out of control. Many of the sections are mowed but not weed-eated, or when they're mowing, the grass clippings are blown back onto the markers, and it may be several days before they get back out there to clear that up. And when the city reconsiders the contract on the cemetery, consider using some sort of weed control. I don't mean the Roundup or anything like that, but just something, pre-emergence or something to slow it down. And possibly increase the frequency of the mowings. The rain, the weather, we've had deplorable conditions, and it makes it really rough to keep up. Along with the conditions of the cemetery, the weather created major settlings of the newer grave openings out there. The 3B needs to find a way to improve the drainage or in a better way of covering the graves when they do cover them. If you see from the picture some of the ideas that I'm talking about. And all I ask is you give our cemetery more consideration than has been given. Our loved ones deserve to rest in a peaceful and well-kept cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meissner. Tim, you want to comment on that, about the...
Well, as it's been stated, the current contractor that's taking care of the maintenance of the mowing has given us notice that he will no longer be providing those services. Staff met this last week. We will probably be going back out for bid in November and taking a look at some of the things that Ms. Meissner said, especially with applying some of the pre-emergence, some of the things that we can utilize in order to keep the weed control down, which is very important as well. So those will be things that will be looked at with the new contractor as well. So, and we should, like I say, have that out for bid hopefully by the next council meeting.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Ms. Meissner. I believe that concludes the citizen comments. And we'll move to item number 8 under new business. Any new business? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn out of regular city council.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, we are adjourned out of regular city council. We'll let the record show.
Oh, just one moment, Mayor.
Change over.
We're
Let the
ready.
record show it's 7:42. I'll call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant City Utilities Authority of October the 9th, 2018, and ask the secretary Call the roll, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Here.
Trustee Groby, Trustee Dills.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock,
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Here, for the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business, consent items. We have item 1A. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock,
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 2 requires no action. Under item number 3, administration, we have no actionable items. Under item number 4, under information items, any questions there? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned. Let the record show it's 7:44. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant Airport Authority of October the 9th, 2018, and ask Secretary to call the roll, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Here.
Trustee Groby. Trustee Dills.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Here, for the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business, consent items, 1A. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk will record, or secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 2 requires no action. We have no sign-ups under the Airport Authority for citizen comments. Move to item number 4 under administration. No items for action. Under number 5, any questions? Hearing none. Anything under new business? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned. The records show it's 7:46. No, wait a minute, 40. I've been wrong on the time. 7:42. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant Development Authority of October the 9th, 2018. Ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Here.
Trustee Groby.
Here.
Trustee Dills.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Here, for the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business, consent items, 1A. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 2 requires no action. Item 3, anything under new business? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne,
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Good job.